Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Andrea and Francesco Bain are suing wedding coordinator Marcy Martin for a partial refund of her wedding planning services.
Order. All rise. Yes, case number 237 on the calendar in the matter of Bain versus Martin. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir.
Thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Bain, you were married on what date?
May 23rd, 2015.
And on what date did you hire the defendant, Ms. Martin, as your party planner?
July 30th of 2014.
Did she come recommended to you?
Yes.
From whom?
Her husband.
How do you know him?
We did business together before, and we became close friends.
Before you hired his wife, other than the recommendation of her husband, did you get any references?
No.
Why not?
He was a close friend. I trusted him, and I just took his word.
Well, for a good lesson for a young married couple, what you're supposed to do is if you are hiring somebody for an important event like a wedding planner, what you do is say, that's very nice, you're my friend, and I know that you love your wife, but would you please give me 3 references of the last 3 parties that your wife coordinated, was satisfied with your services? Does that sound intelligent?
Yes.
Well, that's what you should do. Okay, so you hired her, and did you have a contract, a formal contract?
No, ma'am.
Nothing.
No, ma'am.
Well, that should have been your second clue, because a party planner usually has a formal contract that their company has so that everyone understands what the parameters of their responsibility is, and it's in writing.
Yes, ma'am.
That would have been your second thing that you should do. So you don't have a writing?
No, ma'am.
How much did you pay her in total?
We paid her a total of $1,600.
Yes.
Over what period of time?
From July to December. That's when we made the last payment.
What happened in December?
Well, in January, we met with her, and that's when we were having a little bit of misunderstandings.
About what?
You know, we felt she wasn't really fulfilling, you know, what was promised. We weren't hearing from her a lot. So we sat down in a meeting. Was it like January?
January.
And we met with her, and we considered letting her go in January. Just money was tight.
It's not true.
We were...
Shh. You considered letting her go in January because money was tight?
Yes, money was really tight. When we sat with her, it was her decision. She told us that, you know, we shouldn't stress about the money. Money is the last thing we need to worry about, and that we can pay her the remaining balance sometime after the wedding.
Oh, that's true. Shh. Sorry. A little self-control in January.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And you figure you could do the rest yourself.
Right.
But you agreed to pay her the balance, but you would have until after the wedding. Maybe you would get wedding presents, maybe wedding would straighten up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. So what happened?
Well, after the meeting, we decided to continue with her because she told us there was going to be more communication.
Okay, so you decided to continue. And then what happened?
Then, you know, we had some misunderstandings with the invitations. We went back and forth 3 times. The first time, we told her exactly how we wanted the invitations with the inserts. We gave her specific instructions. They came back wrong. The second time, we literally typed up instructions for her.
Which was not my job.
Detailing her exactly how we wanted them, because we were going to hand deliver a few of them to our relatives near us, and they were all wrong. They weren't folded correctly. The names weren't on there. The number of people in the household weren't on there. So for an example, I'm just going to give an example. We told her if there's a number of people, of 9 people in one house, you only give 1 invitation, and in the insert you write 9 people invited for that household. She made 9 invitations for 1 household. That's an excessive amount of invitations for 1 home. So all these issues came about. I was getting return mail. Some of them were being sent out without any addresses on them.
You got 1 back.
She reused labels.
Just a second. I mean, we start with their team. And when they're finished, you will have an opportunity to tell me, from your perspective, why the things that she's saying are inaccurate. But I don't want you to shout out again.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to make my job easy. I'm going to decide in their favor. I'm going to dismiss your counterclaim and send you on your way. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
We have pictures. She was reusing labels. She was reusing envelopes and then taping them, and it just looked unprofessional. The third time we came around...
You paid for the invitations.
We paid for the invitations.
Shh. But it was her responsibility to get the boxes of invitations and send them.
Correct.
With the invitation, or she quit. You're going to, depending upon what happened. What else was she supposed to get for you?
She has her own boutique, so she says she knew a lot of... Yes, but she broke the relationship with the person.
What?
She broke the...
That's not has to do with me. That's Dr. Phil. I don't care whether she broke the relationship with the person.
But it's someone that we contracted.
I don't care. Go ahead. What else?
She was supposed to get dresses. The dresses...
She wasn't paying for the dresses.
Yes, she was given the money to purchase the dresses.
Well, her fee was $2,000, according to you.
Correct.
Correct.
How much was she given for the dresses?
For the dresses, they were $100 each, and she was given for 6 bridesmaids $110 a piece. And that's just an additional $10 to cover shipping, delivery.
Just a minute. So she was given
An extra
$600.
$660.
It's dresses at $100 a dress.
At $100 each, and then the $60 would cover delivery.
Fine.
And we received the dresses, but when we received the dresses, later she tells us, after she quit, that she went with a different vendor that charged her $149 a dress, not including delivery and tax.
Well, that she can't do without checking with you first.
Correct.
So what's the problem?
That's where the issue was when she quit.
Okay, but you never gave her the additional money.
No, she used the money from...
You never gave her the additional money.
No.
So you're not out any more money because she used a different vendor.
Correct.
Fine. So tell me what you want back from her.
Okay, we want back the total of $3,294.
That's ridiculous.
That's
ridiculous.
It includes the cost of the practice session that we contracted the hair and makeup artist. He came and did Andrea's hair. We contracted him. She turns around and destroys the relationship, keeps the contract.
Mr. Bain.
Ma'am?
Move on.
The hair and makeup, she promised to, the girls pay for hair and makeup. 4 bridesmaids paid. They paid her a total of $560.
Just a second. Who did they pay $560 to?
Mrs. Marcy.
Did they pay $560 to you?
No.
Who did their makeup?
Well, I don't know who did their makeup after I hired someone, and I have all stating that I booked a hair and makeup person. They chose not to go with this hair and makeup person. I have our contract. I have where I booked her hotel.
Just a second. Did you get money for that hair and makeup person that they chose not to do?
Yes,
From them?
and paid.
From them?
From the bridesmaids.
From the bridesmaids?
Right.
Not from them?
Not from them.
And then the bridesmaids didn't use that hair and makeup person?
No, they decided.
Just a second.
Okay.
I don't care. Show me proof that you paid her $560 for the hair and makeup people.
Okay. It was a bundle of $300.
Just a second. $560 is what you said was hair and makeup.
Correct.
That you paid her.
But it was in a bundle. For every bridesmaid, it was a package of $300, which covered $110 for the dress.
Who paid it?
The bridesmaids.
I'm not interested. You're not the bridesmaids. The bridesmaids paid her. They're not satisfied. The bridesmaids can sue her for any part of the money back. If it was a bundle, you mean it was a bundle for the dresses and the hair and the makeup and everything
And the
else?
shoes, yes.
Keep going. I'm
Okay.
still deciding what the problem is.
Okay, so after she quit, she got me a second free session with a person who she's saying she contracted. It's not someone that we contracted.
I don't care. I want to know on what date were her services terminated.
She quit on April 4th.
That was a little less than a month before the wedding. Yeah.
She quit because she got fed up.
Don't tell me a because. Because form's here. You can't tell me that. I want to see what went on before this. This is in response to something she says, really?
Yes.
So I want to see what you said to her.
It was referring to the...
I want to see. Don't tell me it was referring to. Show me what it was before. I assume you have that?
Yes, we do.
We're talking about the text on April 14th.
Yes.
7:19 a.m. is when she wrote to you, so you wrote to her before that.
Is it on your phone?
I have it on my phone.
I'll look
Okay.
at it.
14, here you go. Singing this role.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to know what you did for the $1,400.
Found the venue, went to the cake tasting.
Did you find the cake master who did the cake?
Well, she found it. They wanted to go
So
with
you went and had a piece of cake?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Andrea and Francesco Bain say wedding fund of her services. Marcy is countersuing for unpaid wages.
Okay, Miss Martin, I would like you to tell me, because it's clear that in this you say, I don't think my services are no longer needed. Well, that's a double negative, which turns into a positive. So if you were reading it that way in grammatically perfect English, it would be, I think my services are needed. but that's not what you meant, because you didn't like her finding fault with the way you had delivered the invitations to her. 3 different invitations is what she was talking about. And after you said that to her, she said to you, that's not really what she was suggesting, but as long as you said it, okay. So it was clearly a meeting of the minds that the two of you had had enough of each other. Is that a fair statement?
That's fair.
Fair statement. Okay. And she worked for you from July until April, and she performed the service for 10 months. You didn't fully pay her. She wants the balance of the payment, which she's not going to get because she didn't perform the balance of the service. You understand that? Mm-hmm. Great. So that takes care of the counterclaim. So now I want you to tell me, what did you do for the $1,600 that you were paid?
Well, it was only $13, but
Just a second. If I ask them to show me and receipts?
Some we did, some we didn't.
Well, you got to learn how to do business.
Yes, but we have...
You got to learn how to do business.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have proof that you paid her?
Yes, we have an expense sheet that we got every month after meeting with her.
We have the last one.
And we have the last one.
I'd like to see it.
Let her know where it's at. It's right.
I have it highlighted.
It's the second line.
This is what she prepared at every meeting.
I just want to see where it says that you paid her $1,600.
The second blue line.
The second blue line says amount paid.
Amount paid. It's highlighted, leaving a remainder of $600.
It said amount paid $1,400.
Yeah, amount paid $1,400 will be paid.
Leaving $600 balance.
I thought you said you paid her $1,600. This says you paid her $1,400.
$1,400 will be
So
paid.
how much did you pay her?
$1,400.
So not $1,600.
No, ma'am.
Okay. They paid you $1,400. Okay? Not $13. Let's move on.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't care whether you do it full-time or not. Even if you do it part-time, you're not supposed to stand there and say, well, it's not usually part of my duties. I did it because they knew my husband. That's not the way to do business. This was a business.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Andrea and Francesco Bain say wedding coordinator Marta are suing for a refund of her fee.
Now, I want to know what you did for the $1,400.
Prepared a packet for each person. So there was 12 people total of their responsibilities for the wedding. Found the venue. Went to the cake tasting.
Just a second. You found a venue that they used.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Went to the cake tasting.
Did you find the cake master who did the cake?
Well, she found it. They wanted to
So
go with
you went
somebody.
and had a piece of cake?
Yeah.
Who cares? Go ahead.
Found the dresses. Helped find the attire for the grooms.
Just a second. Did you use the dresses?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Found a hotel for them to stay in the day before.
Did you stay there?
Yes.
Did you negotiate a rate?
Yeah, it was a rate based on the time of the year and how many
I don't
people.
care. You arranged it.
Yes.
Go ahead. What else?
Attempted to find the hotels for the wedding for the guest. The out-of-town
I don't
guest.
want an attempt.
Okay.
Okay. You also sent out the invitations.
Yes, which I did that. It was not part of the job responsibility. I only did that because they knew my husband.
Listen to me. If you're in business, you have a contract. How many weddings had you planned for people that I can call?
Several.
Give me a number.
Over all the years, 10.
Over how many years?
Over the last 6 or 7 years.
Well, that's not a business. Then this is not your business. Then this is a hobby.
Okay.
But when you're in business, knowing exactly what your responsibility is so that everybody knows exactly what the parameters of your duties are.
Well, the reason why I don't do it full-time because I have a full-time ladies clothing store.
I don't care whether you do it full-time or not. Even if you do it part-time, you're supposed to be a professional. If you're a professional, you're not supposed to stand there and say, well, it's not usually part of my duties. I did it because they knew my husband, but I did it. That's not the way to do business. This was a business. Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Abdominal pain, bloating? You may have IBS. Ask your doctor if new non-prescription IB-Guard is right for you. IB-Guard calms the angry gut. Available at CVS and Walgreens.
One day, it appears.
Is that a dark spot?
New Gold Bond Dark Spot Minimizing Cream for Body. Targeted treatment. Results begin in 4 weeks. Gold Bond.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
She clearly earned her $1,400.
Your Honor,
She clearly earned her $1,400. And you could have just asked the same questions as I asked.
Your Honor, I have proof that the hair and makeup artist that she supposedly contracted...
I went through a lot of things. She found a venue, she found the dresses, she found your hotel, and she sent out the invitations. She's earned her $1,400.
The invitations weren't sent out. It came back. We got all the returns back.
I don't believe... Just a second. I don't believe that all the invitations came back.
Not all, but at least 15.
Listen to me. I'm telling you, she earned her $1,400, so you don't get any money back. And next time, be smarter. Get a contract, get it all written out, and you want something done, get references, say, I want to call up and find out what you've done, and you would have found out that in the last 7 or 8 years, maybe she coordinated 10 weddings. And I don't know how many of those 10 weddings would be satisfied customers. That's your responsibility. In any event, she earned money. I'm not going to nitpick about how much of the $1,400 that you paid her she earned. Nor, madam, am I going to say that you're entitled to the remainder of your fee, because it was clearly a meeting of the minds between the two of you that month before the wedding you were not going to be doing the remainder of your job. So you're not entitled to the balance of your fee.
Your Honor, I have proof that the hair and makeup artist that she supposedly contracted,
Are you just... Did you
she
just
didn't
hear,
show up.
Did you just hear me? I didn't hear a thing about hair and makeup. I didn't say a thing about hair and makeup. All I said was she sent out the invitation. I didn't even take into consideration that she tasted the cake, because I feel that that's not relevant. She earned her $1,400. You're not entitled to any money back, and you're certainly not entitled to more than what you contracted to pay her for, which is what you were suing for. It's ridiculous. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I could not believe that my hair was falling out.
Disaster at the salon.
Is that your natural hair?
This is a wig.
That's Mother Nature taking a toll. It is not my work.
Judge Judy.
Halfway through, we felt we were doing most of the work ourselves.
They wanted a Cinderella wedding on a Goldilocks budget.
Well, the dresses, we had to completely reconstruct the dresses ourselves.
Well, none of the bridesmaids wanted to get fitted.
And in a matter of 5 days before the wedding.
She told me to order an extra small. I did that.
So that was already tough. Invitations, yes.
It's not my fault that they didn't fit.
I saw the way they were sent out, and I wasn't happy.
They wanted like a $20,000 wedding, like on an $8,000 budget.
It really is disappointing to know that, someone that be considered a friend would do something like...
Husbands and his.
And I'm just glad it's over and we can move on.
I don't care about anything else, but their friendship was important.
Definitely get references, obviously get a contract, and never do business with friends.
They really lied about a lot of different things, and Judge Judy saw through that, so I'm happy with the ruling.
The attack is hard to watch.
Their dog jumped their fence and mauled my dog from behind, and it resulted in death.
I feel terribly sorry for you.
And sorting blame is almost as tough.
I have pictures of her showing that she was not a vicious dog.
Your Honor, he's lying. I have video proof, I have photos, and I have a witness. The video...
Of what? Shut up. I don't want you to speak to her.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Stephanie Rosenquist is suing her neighbor, Bruce Eldred, and his daughter, Stephanie Lickscheidel, for vet bills, pain and suffering, and harassment as the result of a dog attack.
Order. All rise. This is case number 209 on the calendar. Lickscheidel.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Ms. Rosenquist, it is your claim that the defendant's dog attacked yours.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And at the time of the attack, your dog was off leash.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you and the defendants are neighbors?
Yes, Your Honor.
Immediate neighbors?
Yes, Your Honor. They lived directly across from me. At that time, I was actually living next door to where I lived, so they lived a couple of trailers away.
So at the time, there was a trailer in between where you were and where the defendant's trailer was. Is that right?
They are across the street, but they also own other trailers in the park, so 2 doors down as well.
Okay. Where was their dog? In which trailer?
Their dog was in trailer number 42.
Which is that across from you?
Which is across from number 16, where I was at
where you
that
were
time.
staying. Okay. Now, you have what kind of a dog?
Well, I actually had 4 dogs, but the one that was viciously attacked was a Jack Russell Terrier, and she was older.
And what kind of a dog do you have?
She was collie and rat terrier, I think.
How big?
She's not. I have pictures of her showing that she was not a vicious dog. Just a second. And she weighs about maybe 30 pounds at the time.
Your Honor, he's lying. The dog, I have video proof, I have photos, and I have a witness. The video...
Oh, sorry.
The dog was a pit bull.
Listen to me. I don't want you to speak to her.
It says in my police report that it's a pit bull. It says in the vet bills that the pit bull jumped the fence and viciously attacked my dog.
You have a video.
I do have a video, and I have a very good witness.
You don't have to tell me you have a good witness. You have a witness. Okay. Now, on May 22nd, according to what I read, you lost control of your dog. You lost control of your dog.
My dog did get out of the fence, yes.
And when the dog got out of the fence, where did she go?
She was going over to the road, and then she went and sniffed over to their fence, and then it was within like a minute or two that I noticed she was out of the fence.
Okay.
I called her, and that is when their dog jumped their fence and mauled my dog from behind, and it resulted in death. And it resulted in their dog being euthanized for being a dangerous dog.
Listen, I know you have a lot to get out, but I run my shop. So I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to give me answers. And you're not going to tell me his whole story from A to Z. Just answer my questions. After the dog was attacked, you took your dog to the vet.
I was on the phone with 911. I waited there for the police. It was not even 5 minutes. As soon as the police got there, I rushed my pet to the vet.
Okay. How long did
it? The humane decision, because the injuries were down to the organs, to be...
So on the same date?
Very same date.
On the same date.
She would have needed 24/7 care for about 5 days.
Just a second. All I'm asking you is, that's what happened. So you had the dog euthanized. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what was your vet bill?
My vet bill was $360.
And you witnessed this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, on the 22nd of May, your dog was chained in your front yard? That's a yes.
Yes.
How long had you had your dog?
Pretty close to a year.
Where did you get the dog from?
We were coming in from out of town, and there was some people alongside the highway that had free puppies, so we stopped and picked one of them up for my grandson.
Is that the only dog you had?
No, I have 2 bigger dogs, and I have pictures of those.
What kind of dogs are the bigger dogs?
And lab.
Well, shepherds and lab? You said you have 2 other dogs?
Yes. One's a shepherd, and one's a lab.
Okay. Where are they kept?
In my yard.
Also chained?
Nope, they never leave the yard for no reason. I've had Bear for 13 years, and I've had Honey for 9 years.
So they stay close to where they're fed?
Oh, yes. They will not leave my yard.
Now, this puppy you keep chained, is there any reason why you keep this dog?
She's outside by herself. She's put on a chain because we haven't had her very long.
So you've had her for about a year?
Yes.
Now, after this incident on May 22nd, your dog was euthanized.
Right.
Why?
Because we couldn't afford to pay the pound to keep her.
It's irrelevant.
I don't want to hear from you now. Explain that to me.
Well, it's $10 a day. And we're both don't have the money.
$10. She was placed
they
in
would
a
have kept her for 14 days.
Just a second. They were going to keep her in quarantine for 14 days?
And then they would have euthanized her.
Why were they keeping her for 14 days?
Because that's, I believe, the law in Washington. They take the dog for 14 days.
Did the dog have all of its shots?
Yes, we have all.
So they were going to keep the dog in quarantine for 14 days for what purpose?
Because of the dog fight. Because she told the dogs that my dog was really super vicious.
Yes.
We have
Stand up. Tell me your name.
Hi, I'm Jeff Hamilton.
Yes, sir.
We have video. It shows our dog getting attacked. And you can see, I mean, it's graphic, but it gives a pretty good picture. It's best to, I mean, view it.
I'd like to see the video. Who took the video?
I have a surveillance system, and it's just for theft purposes, but
Okay,
fortunately that day.
I don't know.
watch. Don't watch.
So yours is a little white dog?
Mine is.
You saw your dog being chased by their dog from their property into this middle of the road.
But it was a matter of like within it was
a prior incident involving his dog.
We don't know anything about that. But like I was saying is we were right there. We were watching all the dogs.
I'm telling you, unless my eyes are bad, what I saw was your dog going all the way around the property.
Absolutely right.
Then in between the car and what looked like a fence, and went in the back, and then you lost sight of the dog for seconds.
Right.
And then you saw the dog coming out, and then you saw their dog chasing it.
Correct.
That's what you see.
Right.
That's your evidence. And neither one of you saw what happened at the fence line where their dog was on the stake.
Other than the video, you're right.
Well, that's true.
Right.
And I feel terribly sorry for you. But in addition, they have account us. You allowed your dog to be out of your control, and because they didn't have the money to pay for $140 worth of quarantine time, they had to euthanize their dog.
Well, here's another part of it. We have a lease agreement, and we can't modify our fences without written consent. We called and asked, and so what we've been doing to prevent our animals to go out, we would put fencing up and extra boarding and stuff like that to ensure the dogs won't get out.
But your dog got out.
Correct.
Do you understand?
I do.
Do you understand? He had his dog staked for his reason.
Right.
And he said he has two other dogs. They don't leave the yard. But
and
this dog they chain.
Well. This is not the first time their dog attacked one of ours. It's just the first time we had to report it because it was vicious.
Just a second. Did you ever report this dog as being vicious?
No.
No, but
listen, I can't help you. You had two dogs. They both got out of your control. But for your actions in allowing your dog to get out of your control, their dog wouldn't be dead because they had to make a choice, and neither would yours.
Their dog also was deemed a dangerous dog. The reason it was euthanized was because they could not afford $250,000 for liability insurance.
It's dismissed. Yours too. That's it. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Them to move? I've been there 5 years. They've been there 2 months.
Yeah, don't live in a piece of crap place.
She was in the trailer next to that trailer.
Where there's people that don't take care of their dogs and let them roam freely.
Got in a fight with her boyfriend and then moved in with this guy.
Jump fences. It's time for us to move somewhere safer.
It's just a tragedy all around.
With higher class people.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hubbard versus Marambio. Step forward.
Philip Hubbard III is suing his ex-girlfriend, Patricia Marambio, for her share of a cruise.
Mr. Hubbard, it is your claim that the defendant owes you her share of a cruise.
Yes.
And the story that leads up to your claim is that you and the defendant met, I believe, on a dating website.
Yes, we did.
What website was that?
POF.
What is that?
Plenty of Fish.
Plenty of Fish?
Yes.
Really? I never heard of that one. Is that the name of the website?
Yes.
Plenty of Fish?
Yes.
Interesting. Did you ever hear of that website?
I have never heard of it.
It was strange how we met. It was very
well, just the name of the dating website is sort of interesting and fun. I'd never heard of it before.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I would ask him if he would have his account.
He's not on this dating website. Doesn't mean you're in an exclusive relationship. That doesn't mean he's not seeing other people.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Philip Hubbard III says ex-girlfriend Patricia Marambio owes for her share of a cruise.
Now, you met when?
It was around May the 12th.
Of what year?
Of 2015.
When did you physically meet?
Our first date was on the 18th of May. I think it was a Friday.
And subsequently you saw each other, and there was some discussion about taking a vacation together, a cruise.
Yes.
At some point you claimed that the defendant said she would in fact go with you. You've discussed that she would be responsible for her own share of the cost of the cruise. She acknowledged that she would be responsible for her own portion of the cruise. You booked it. It was within the no cancellation period, so you don't get your money back. And then she broke up with you. That's the case.
Basically.
Basically. Okay. Tell me when the cruise was scheduled.
The cruise was scheduled for July 30th through August 2nd, I think it was. It was a Sunday.
So
Thursday through Sunday.
Okay, so it was a 4-day.
Yes.
And the cost for each of you was what?
$498.60.
On what date did you book?
18th. Of July.
And between May 18th and July 14th, so approximately 2 months, how often did you see the defendant?
As often as I could. But,
tell me.
Well, we probably saw each other about once a week, but if I could have been more, I would have made it more.
Because you liked her?
Oh, yeah.
Defendant says that she liked you also, but she said that before she agreed to go on the cruise with you, you agreed that the two of you had an exclusive relationship. That's what she says. When did you have that discussion with him?
I would ask him many times if he would have his account open. What he replied was that no, that he didn't.
You mean his account open with the dating service?
Yes.
Well, that doesn't make him necessarily an exclusive partner of yours.
I was just meeting him, getting to know him. That was important for me. So I trust
but I'm
him.
saying just because he's not on this dating website doesn't mean you're in an exclusive relationship.
No,
it just means that he, according to what you want, that he's not on this particular dating service anymore. That doesn't mean he's not seeing other people.
Correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She called and asked me to book a cruise, and I contacted the agent. He said, look, Phil, are you sure? I said, yeah, this is what she wants to do.
And
then she canceled.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Philip Hubbard III says ex-girlfriend Patricia Marambio owes for her share of a cruise.
Well, you agreed to go on the vacation with him, is that right?
It was an invitation. I agreed to go.
But you agreed to pay your own way.
We never discussed that.
You never did?
We never discussed the money issue. He would always invite me many places.
Where did he invite you to?
He invited me like a couple of weeks after we met. He invited me and I say no because I was just meeting him. After I noticed that he was a good person, that I could trust him and go, and I say yes.
Go where?
Go on to the cruise.
Not talking about the cruise. You said that you never discussed money with him with regard to the cruise.
No.
Okay. When, Mr. Hubbard, did you have a discussion with the defendant about her paying her share of the cruise?
On July 12th is when she called me and said that she's given it some thought and she felt that it was time for us to go ahead and go on a cruise. I asked her, are you sure?
Well, you had evidently discussed the cruise with her before.
Oh, yes. I enjoy cruising. And I asked her to go on a cruise, and she said if I could find a cruise for her and her son, because we weren't really dating yet, according to her, we weren't dating. So I said, yeah, I can look for something for you and your son, but I would like to go too. She goes, well, on July 12th, though, when she called and asked me to book a cruise for the two of us. And I asked, are you sure? She goes, yeah, I've given it some thought. You're a good person. You've been there for me, and I would like to go on a cruise with you now. And so I told her, I said, are you sure? I will contact my agent because we are within the cancellation period. And I contacted the agent. He said, look, Phil, are you sure? I said, yeah. I said, she says this is what she wants to do.
Okay, so?
So we went ahead and booked a cruise.
And?
And then she canceled.
Well, she says she canceled because she found out that you were still on this dating site. Right. But that doesn't matter. In the whole scenario you just told me, you never mentioned once that she said she would pay for her trip.
She didn't mention it at that time. She had mentioned before that
she didn't mention it at that time.
No.
She said this was the first time she ever called you, according to you, and said, yes, I will go with you on a cruise, meaning without my son, I will go with you on a cruise. And you say to her, are you sure? Because we're within the cancellation period. She says, I'm sure. But there was nothing in that conversation, Mr. Hubbard, that was a contract for her to pay you for her part of the trip.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com.
Did you go on the trip?
Yes, I did.
Great. Who did you go with?
Me.
Just yourself?
Yeah, it was too late to find anyone else.
Yeah, but you couldn't find a friend to go with for nothing?
It was too late. It was within the cancellation period.
That's okay, but you went. You used the room.
Yes.
That was supposed to be for two people.
Correct.
So I'm asking, you couldn't have found somebody to go with you? I'm just curious.
No, I asked my agent. He said it was too late for me to add anybody on the cruise. I mean, this was all right at the time of the cruise.
Mr. Hubbard, you don't have a cause of action against the defendant. Lady is entitled to change her mind and not go with you if she feels as if there was some issue with regard to your veracity. If, however, she had said to you, which you did not tell me, and which she denies, that I will go with you and I will also pay for my half of the trip, neither one of you said that to me. That would be a contract that I could enforce. But the fact that the lady changed her mind is not something that a court can enforce.
But one thing she did say in the beginning when we first talked about cruising, she goes, I am an independent woman. I can pay for myself. I don't need a man to pay for me.
That's nice. That's still not a contract, Mr. Hubbard. Thank you.
No, that's fine.
Case is over.
Parties are excused. May step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
This horse was on their property, running at large.
Then some frontier justice.
They beat him with a whip trying to force him.
Next Judge Judy.
I wanted to go on her cruise with her because I was madly in love with her.
I'm very thankful because it's what it is.
Oh, she just called me from her friend's house and told me that she saw me on the website.
If someone invites you to a cruise and you don't want to go,
but never gave me an opportunity to explain what was going on.
You have the right to say no to an invitation.
I was on the website because I couldn't figure out how to cancel it.
And he's lying.
It's time to move on. I mean, she's a great person, but
I like for him.
It's what it is.
It's a stallion, Your Honor. It's dangerous to people, children, and livestock.
A threat to peaceful pastures.
This horse was on their property, running at large.
Her stallion ran them through the fence. My horses were cut up. They were injured.
Then some frontier justice.
They beat him with a whip trying to force him through a fence.
He is telling a lie. That is a lie.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Frankie Foster is suing April Biddy and her stepfather, Terry Wright, for the cost to board her horses.
All rise. It's case number 78 on the calendar in the matter of Foster versus Biddy Wright.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Ms. Foster, let me see if I can simplify what I believe is your complaint. You recently, within the last couple of years, bought a couple of acres of property.
It was 7 acres.
7 acres of property from the defendant's uncle.
Correct, my uncle, ma'am.
And it was your intention, at least, to use part of that property to have your horses. You had how many horses?
6.
And you moved your horses on the property. I assume that there is a fence, low fence?
It was a 5-strand barbed wire fence.
That's a big fence?
Yes.
And that surrounded your entire property?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, it is your claim that the defendant's stallion, which they kept on their uncle's property, jumped the fence and forced your horses through the fence, and then he proceeded to impregnate them against your wishes.
He raped our mares over and over and over.
So you want them to be responsible for your vet bills and for boarding your horses for the last year because you didn't keep your horse.
The vet bills are in a criminal case that hasn't been completely settled. So I'm not suing for the vet bills.
The criminal case is still ongoing?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there going to be a hearing on that date?
Yes, ma'am.
I cannot, therefore, hear this case today. And I can't hear this case today because the testimony that I would take in this case today all involves the same incident. It involves the same allegation that their stallion is responsible for injuries to your horses, which resulted in you taking the horses and moving them to other property so that they wouldn't be exposed again, allegedly, to the defendant's horses. So until that matter is resolved, I cannot hear this case. This case is finished. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Their horse forced your horses through the fence. In my mind, it's just as cogent an argument as 5 horses who were in heat went through a fence on their own to get to the stallion.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
In a case that has been recalled, Frankie Foster says April Biddy's stallion came onto her property and injured her horses. April Biddy and Terry Wright arteries to April's horse and lost work.
Yeah, it's just a recall of case number 78 in the matter of Foster versus Biddy Wright.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Miss Biddy, the last time we were here, the court discovered that there was a criminal case pending that had to do with this incident.
Correct.
And the criminal case had to do with your horse invading someone else's property?
Correct. I was charged with allowing a horse to run at large.
And what was the result of that proceeding?
I got 18 months supervised probation. I have to pay $2,400 in fines, 24 hours community service.
Any restitution?
I believe it was $234 to Miss Frankie Foster. It was veterinarian bills that she had proof of.
Is that correct as far as you know?
I'll accept the money amount.
Okay. Was this the first time you were found guilty of this kind of act that was done by one of your horses?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a pretty stiff sentence.
Yes, it was.
Ms. Foster, your case has to do with something completely different. Same incident, but what you're claiming is that because Miss Biddy and Mr. Wright failed to keep their horse on their property, you've had to board your horses someplace else, and you want them to pay several $1,000s that it's cost you to board your horses. Explain to me why you don't build a higher fence.
My fence is adequate to keep my horses on my property. And in the state of...
Well, clearly not, because your horses were allegedly impregnated on whose property?
Mine.
On your property. It was my understanding that you alleged to me the last time we were here, you know, and I have to go back to my memory, that their horse forced your horses through the barbed wire fence.
Yes, ma'am.
So then they would be on their property.
No, ma'am. They were on her uncle's property.
Or on her uncle's property. When I say the defendant's property, it's either uncle's property, but it was my understanding from you that the stallion came on your property and forced your horses through the fence onto their property.
Yes, ma'am, but after we got caught all of my horses that were on her uncle's property and put back on mine, her horse jumped the fence again, came in, and raped repeatedly my little tiny pony.
Just a second.
And I have pictures.
But the complaint that you had originally had to do with the vet bills, not for the little tiny
vet bills.
Okay.
Because she had to undergo an abortion because she was raped.
Your other horses, so 5 of them were on their property.
Well, it was because her stallion ran them through the fence. My horses were cut up. They were injured. My best riding horse may never be sound again. I have photos. I have a vet letter that describes the injuries to them.
Just a second. The $234 in restitution, I'm not considering anything other than that.
For that.
What you want is you want them to pay the boarding fees for your horses, I assume in perpetuity, because the stallion is still there.
Correct.
And you don't want to bring your horses back while the stallion is still there.
She could solve all of that by gelding that horse, which is castrating and making him an emasculated male. And they don't attack other horses. I'd like for you to look at the pictures I have of the injuries my horses suffered.
Just a second. That's not part of this proceeding. Well, I'm not understanding. If she could castrate her stallion, and it's clear that if, in the same way, and maybe I'm wrong, but if your female horses and heat and they wouldn't inspire the stallion. Isn't that true?
It's extremely expensive to spay a horse.
Well, that's not the issue. That's not my issue. My issue is what you're suggesting is that they neuter their stallion. And what I'm suggesting to you is, in all probability, that the reason that the stallion went over to your horses is because one or more of them was in heat.
Judge Judy, that stallion was on my property when I didn't even have a horse on it.
Just a second. Can you show me that the stallion was on your property?
My witness, Danny Foster, can testify that he saw the horse on there.
Okay.
I can too.
Stand up. Your last name is?
Harris.
Do you work for the
No, ma'am. I work with Danny. And
who is Danny?
Danny is my husband.
Frankie's husband.
Okay.
Danny was out of town when this occurred, and he called me and asked if I would go and help.
Okay, so he wasn't there, so you can sit down.
Okay.
Go ahead.
When I got there, the stallion was on their property, raping their mares and injuring their horses.
On whose property?
On Frankie's property.
Did you ever see Miss Foster's horses on the defendant's property?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
But they were on the, right?
That's what I've been told.
That's what she said. She said that they were injured when they went through the barbed wire fence.
Your Honor, I really think most of the injuries occurred while her horses were still on her property.
Well, I don't care what you think. She just told me that her horses were cut up when they went through the barbed wire fences. So clearly, they had to be on the defendant's property, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the question is, how did they get on the defendant's property? They either got on the defendant's property, as Ms. Foster said, because the 5 horses were forced through the property by the stallion.
Yes.
Were those 5 horses in heat, or any of the 5 horses in heat?
That's almost impossible to say.
Well, it's not impossible to tell because I mean, if horses are anything similar to dogs, dogs can only become pregnant during a heat period. There's a fertile period for all animals. Now, Ms. Foster said the pony, at least, had to have an abortion, which suggested to me that the pony was in heat, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the vet bills that you have with regard to the other 5 horses, did they have pregnancy or possible pregnancy?
Yes, they did.
Which would suggest that some or all of the females were in heat. Right?
I can't answer that because they weren't when I put them in the night before.
They weren't in heat when you put them in the night before?
No, ma'am.
How long have you had horses?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
While Mr. Harris and his 2 cowboys were trying to load my horse, they beat him with a whip trying to force him through a fence.
He is telling a lie. That is a lie.
Just a second. Do you understand? I want you to put him out.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Frankie Foster says April Biddy is responsible for boarding costs after April's stallion came onto her property and injured her horses.
Look, this is not a very difficult case for me. There are 2 choices. Either I can suggest to the defendant that they now know that if their horse is found on your property again, this will be a second time that their horses were at large. And considering the first fine and 18 months probation for having a horse at large, to me, sentence, they must have a very low crime rate there.
It's a stallion, Your Honor. It's
what?
dangerous. It's a stallion, Your Honor. It's dangerous to people, children, and livestock if it's running loose.
Sit down. Just for my own information, how long has this horse been on your property?
It's been there for 2 years, almost 3 years now, Your Honor.
Since what year?
2013.
When did you purchase your property?
March of 2014.
So I could suggest that they take their horse that's been there certainly longer than you purchased your property and have the horse medically altered. Or say to you, go have your females taken care of. I'm not prepared to do either one of those things. My only issue is whether I think it's fair and appropriate for them to, in addition to have this substantial fine and 18 months probation, to be directed to pay for your horses being boarded someplace else. And you have the capability, just as they have, to keep your horses on your property because your horses were, according to you, at some point on their property, and nobody knows whether they were herded there by the stallion or because they were in heat, went there themselves. I don't know that. You don't know that. And unless we have a video or pictures...
I have a video of her horses on the property.
On your property?
Taken out, yes.
I'd like to take a look at the video.
You can see my barn in the far left background there. I have stretched across over 1.5 acres of land since this incident.
Miss Foster, is that your property?
No, ma'am. Her horse ran my horses through the fence.
And I'm telling you that I don't know that. Those horses do not look to me as if they're afraid of anything. They're eating. So I don't know whether her horse ran your horses through or whether your horses, because they were in heat, came over. But right now, they don't look frightened.
And that is after they run through the fence.
Pictures of what the mares look like after her stallion raped them?
Listen to me. Don't speak out again. Don't speak out again. There's only one issue for me to deal with, because you've already had your day in court with regard to your criminal proceeding, where I assume you showed your pictures?
No, ma'am, it wasn't my day in court. It was the state of North Carolina's day in court.
Just a second. Did you show the pictures?
No, ma'am.
So what kind of evidence did they take? Did you testify?
Yes, I did.
And the prosecutor? No. What evidence did you have to demonstrate that their horse forced your horses through the fence? I'm just curious. In my mind, you can't testify that that's what happened, but it's just as cogent an argument as 5 horses who were in heat went through a fence on their own to get to the stallion. Let's get to the issue. Issue is whether or not I think that they have to pay for your boarding the horses someplace else, or whether you ought to sell this property and move next to somebody who doesn't have horses that you don't like.
We have them for our property for sale.
Great, but they're not paying for your boarding, because I think that that's unreasonable.
Well, the curvature of the fence where they went through went out. The stallion was with them.
Ms. Foster, you have my answer. They're not responsible for your boarding costs. $234 is what they were ordered to pay in restitution.
Well, it was actually $273, but...
$273. The $273 was for what? In restitution.
Was
restitution. Well, if your horse was injured as a result of that, did you tell that to the judge in the criminal case?
Yes, I did.
So the judge considered that in the criminal case.
The case wasn't that she let her animal run at large.
No, Ms. Foster, the case was about injury to your horses because the judge awarded restitution. Correct. Restitution is what the judge found your damages were. And the judge found that your monetary damage was $273, not $5,000. Okay. Now, I have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to handle it very, very fast. What do you think you're entitled to from Miss Foster, and why?
Your Honor, I'm asking for damages while trying to...
Why does he get some pictures and I didn't?
Just a second. I don't want to hear you. See how quiet they were? That's how quiet you have to be. Go.
Yes, ma'am. While Mr. Harris and his 2 cowboys were trying to load my horse to take him to have him castrated, they beat him with a whip trying to force him through a fence.
He is telling a lie. That is a lie.
Just a second. Do you understand?
Because
just a second. Shut. I want you to put him out, please.
Okay.
Right now. He goes out.
Sir,
and she's next. If you interfere with these proceedings, do you understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to Judge and follow us on Twitter.
Go ahead.
While they were trying to force him onto a trailer, they
Just a second. Where was the horse? On whose property?
He was on her property.
Well, if that horse was on their property, they can force him onto a trailer. They can do whatever they want with him because the horse is trespassing on their property. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Your Honor, that never happened.
Does it sound like you're losing?
Ma'am.
I'm trying the counterclaim now. What else?
Ma'am, my point is that my horse would not have been on their property had their tree not taken my fence down.
Now, was that before or after this incident that had to do with the horses going through the fence?
The same day, ma'am.
When did you see the fence broken?
That would have been on the morning after this incident occurred.
What you're saying is you didn't see it until after this incident.
No,
and it's very possible, if at all, that they didn't see it until after this incident.
Because no, ma'am, they were very aware of it.
That's interesting. You know from somebody else's mind that they were very aware that their horses were potentially at risk from your stallion?
No, ma'am. They were aware there's a line of dead pine trees. And every time we have a storm or the wind blows, 2, sometimes 3 will fall.
And?
Well, when the foster, our horses were roaming all the way up to this line. The Fosters had the property surveyed, and they moved the property line down to here.
Is what you're telling me, you were treating property that belonged to them as if it were your property for a period of time?
Yes, ma'am. I was under the impression it was our property.
It turned out not to be. Your counterclaim's dismissed. So is your complaint. That's all. You had your day in criminal court. Pretty stiff sentence for a one-shot offense. Find another place for your horses.
Why is that excused when they step out?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Newlyweds' rocky relationship with a wedding planner.
I want to know what you did for the $1,400.
Found the venue, went to the cake tasting.
So you went and had a piece of cake?
Yeah.
Judge Judy.
She needs to fence her horse in, or it'll be on my property, and when it is, it'll be a nice gelding.
I'm very satisfied how the case turned out today.
This animal is violent, he's vicious.
We can sit under our horse and eat lunch if we would like to.
People who own stallions need to geld them.
No hard feelings here. I'm very satisfied about the case.
Falling out.
Disaster at the salon.
Was this the first time that you had used Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
When did it start falling?
The same evening. This is the first of the hair that was falling.
And the fight with her hairdresser comes to a head.
Is that your natural hair?
No, this is a wig hair.
That's Mother Nature taking a toll. It is not my work.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Ethel Scott is suing hairdresser Claude Bryant for medical bills and punitive damages. Ethel claims her hair fell out after she received a treatment from Claude.
Order. All rise. This is case number 174 on the calendar, the matter of Scott versus Bryant.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Scott, Mr. Bryant did some hair relaxing for you.
Yes.
And it is your claim that as a result of his poor work product, your hair started to fall out, you had dermatology bills, you had other medical costs, and you are suing him in the amount of $5,000, which includes punitive damages.
Yes.
Was this the first time that you had used Mr.
Bryant was highly recommended to me.
By a friend?
By friends.
Okay, so somebody who had used him to do the same kind of work that you wanted said that he was talented and fine.
And then I saw his work. Their hair was really pretty.
Good. You made an appointment and you went to him when?
I went to him February 19th after trying to reach him for about 2 months.
You mean trying to reach him, you couldn't reach him, or you couldn't schedule an appointment?
We were not able to schedule an appointment. So in those 2 months, I think I spoke to him twice, and the last time I talked to him, he asked that I come in, and that was February 19th.
And you had the work done on February 19th?
Yes.
And the cost was $100, according to your complaint?
I paid him $100.
And you also gave him a tip?
No, I did not give him a tip. I gave him a $100 bill.
No tip?
No tip.
Is that right, sir?
That's not true. The service was $85 and she tipped $20.
Well, I gave him a $100 bill, so...
Tip 20?
That's
yes,
all
ma'am.
I gave him.
Or maybe she tipped you 15?
15. Well, 15.
How long have you been in business, Mr. Bryant?
Since 1989.
And this is what you do primarily, is hair relaxing?
Well, I do other services, but specializing in hair care, yes.
So, what happened?
Okay, as I said, Mr. Bryant...
You had the work done on the 9th, and you gave him a tip, and you left.
Right.
And
the last thing he told me before I left, he said, this is a product that you should use on your hair. It's a moisturizer. So he told me to go over to this barber shop to buy this moisturizer, which I did. Anyway, when I get home, so I go and look at my hair and getting ready to put the product on. I pull my hair back, and this is when I see the 2 sores. And
you mean the same day?
The same day, the same evening. The same evening, yes. Okay. And Your Honor, my hair, this is what it looked like.
Just a second. You had 2 sores.
Yes. And so then I felt the texture of my hair. It was like hay. You know, it was just really brittle and rough. And then it started falling out.
When did it start falling?
The same evening. But it fell out to just big patches of hair at a time was falling out. And that happened for about 2 months.
Okay.
2 months.
And it took her...
When did you call Mr. Bryant?
Okay, I went to see the dermatologist on the 6th, March 6th, so it had to be the 7th of March.
What you told me was that evening you saw 2 huge sores and your hair started falling out the same day. That was February 19th.
That was February. I wanted to know what was happening to my hair because of my scalp.
Just a second. That's not an answer that I understand. If I went to a salon and my hair started to fall out and I had sores in my hair, I would have been on the phone with him on February 20th. So I don't know what March... Okay, well, the doctor describes this as alopecia. It's hair loss. Your complaint was, according to this doctor, that you started to see hair loss after you went to a hairdresser. The doctor doesn't indicate that it's a result of anything that the hairdresser did. He gives you a diagnosis of alopecia. Between February 19th and March 6th, did you put any dyes on your hair?
No.
What made you, in your answer, Mr. Bryant, indicate... I mean, it says here you're 67, correct?
I'm 67.
67. So at 67, you do have gray hair.
Yes, I do have gray hair.
So I just want to take a look at the picture before you went to see... Shh. Okay, so now I see the picture before you went to Mr. Bryant, and clearly, I don't see any gray hair here.
Right.
Which means that you color your hair.
Yes.
Now, something that you said to me earlier, you say you take care of your own hair, usually.
Right.
And I assume that means that you also color your own hair.
Yes.
To cover the gray.
Yes.
Anything else anybody want to tell me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have 2 problems. First of all, it's clear that you color your hair. Second of all, I believe the defendant when he said that you asked him to cover your gray, and he said it's not a good idea to do both procedures at the same time. Smart.
And later today...
I want you to tell me how you got the dog back. Well, no, don't look there. Look over here.
All Sarah said was just that she couldn't keep Sugar...
What were her exact words? You must have said, come on.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ethel Scott claims hairdresser Claude Bryant injured her as the result of a hair treatment. Ethel says Claude's actions caused her hair to fall out.
Okay. What?
In the pictures that she has of where she's claiming hair loss and damages, the color is much lighter than the color of the hair that she presented to you there. That's the color that I seen when she came into the salon, which told me immediately that she...
You have 2 problems, Miss Bryant. First of all, it's clear that you color your hair. Second of all, I believe the defendant when he said that you asked him to cover your gray, and he said it's not a good idea to do both procedures at the same time. Smart. And I'm also not so sure you didn't go home and try to do that yourself.
No.
Because you clearly, if you color your own hair, you don't want to go out between February 19th with nice relaxed hair, according to you right before the holidays, with gray roots. Because then you'd have relaxed hair with not gray roots. The medical report that you give me says that you had hair loss, that it does not ascribe to him, and it was weeks after you had any work done by him, and you told me that February 19th you had big sores on your scalp and your hair started to come out immediately, yet you didn't call him for a month.
It was 3 weeks. However, Judge Judy, I color my hair at least every 2 months with a wash-in hair color, and I had colored my hair the earlier part of February before I went to see him February the 19th. I did not put anything on my hair after he did my hair. This is the result of the chemical that was put on my head. My hair was just brittle.
Anything else?
And my scalp was damaged.
Time, offer her money back?
No, I did not offer her money back because I felt like I had earned that for a service that I had given her. But I did offer her free scalp and hair treatments and conditioners in order to get her hair back healthy and at a state that she was happy with.
Okay. And in what month did she come to your salon? After she had the initial treatment on February 19th?
In June.
In what month, Ms. Scott? Shh. His records. I'm sure you have your records. In what month did you come back to his salon?
In March.
After you went to the dermatologist?
Right.
When in March?
March 7th. I went to the dermatologist March 6th, and I was in his salon on the 7th. When I came to his office, I had a hat on my head. He was there with customers, and I told him I wanted to talk to him, to show him what he had done to my hair, and that I had gone to a dermatologist. So he wants me to expose my head in front of all of the customers or whatever.
That is not true.
Yes, you did. But I said, no, I want to go back in a private area so I can show you my hair.
And you're telling me that that was in March?
March 7th.
Now, what makes you think it was in June, Mr. Bryan?
She did not get her service in February. No.
When did you get...
She first contacted me about a service, alopecia. She didn't want to be seen. She didn't want to come in during normal business hours. I did her on a day that I was off, and that service was given to her in April.
No. Judge Judy, I have it written in my calendar.
Do you have the appointment book?
No, ma'am, I don't.
No, I don't believe... That's actually, Mr. Bryan, I don't believe that.
And I never told him nothing about me having alopecia.
I don't believe that
I don't even know what alopecia is.
I don't... Well, you should read the medical...
That hair loss. I never told you I had alopecia.
Okay. This is not a $5,000 case, Miss Scott. Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
If I didn't want to take Sugar back, that she was going to get rid of her.
Did she say why after 3 years she couldn't take care of her? Tell me your version.
My version.
Just make sure I get the version right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ethel Scott claims hairdresser Claude Bryant injured her as the result of a hair treatment. Ethel says Claude's actions caused her hair to fall out.
Now, I don't have any evidence other than what you tell me that the day that you had this procedure done, you started to suffer because you certainly didn't contact him the next day or the day after that, or these horrible sores in your head and your hair was all falling out. That, to me, would be the time to contact the person who did it and said, look what's going on. You didn't go to him for a month.
What could he do?
Oh, I don't know what he could do. I don't know what he can do. He can do as much as I'm going to do for you, Miss Scott, which is not much.
Okay.
Okay? So I would suggest that if he who came highly recommended to you is offering you a whole bunch of free services to get your hair back into condition after you probably tried to cover your gray, that you take advantage of that. That's all. This case is over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse you may step out.
My scalp is still sore.
Alopecia is a hair loss that's associated with age.
I still don't believe today that I had alopecia before I went to him.
It's Mother Nature, not me.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Chatterton versus Vaughn. Step forward.
Sarah Chatterton is suing her former friend, Holly Vaughn, for 3 years' worth of pet care expenses.
Miss Chatterton, how long do you know the defendant?
I've known Holly about 15 years.
In what month and year did you agree to take on the responsibility of taking care of Miss Vaughn's dog?
That started in fall of 2010.
And at that time, you were having some housing difficulties?
I was moving, and I moved over there.
Okay, and that was in 2010?
Yeah.
And you had the dog in your custody continuously, according to what I read, from 2010 until November of 2013. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then you say that Miss Vaughn took the dog back, and you want all the expenses that you paid for the 3 years that the dog was in your custody, right?
Yes.
Yeah, not going to happen. I want you to tell me how you got the dog back in November of 2013.
Well,
no, don't look there. Look over here.
Well, when I remembered, I got the dog back in June.
June of what year?
2013.
Okay.
And all Sarah said was just that she couldn't keep Sugar and that If I didn't want to take Sugar back, then she was going to have to figure out something else to give her away.
Did she have this conversation with you over the phone?
Yeah.
Who initiated the phone call?
Sarah did.
What were her exact words? You must have said, come on.
She said that if I didn't want to take Sugar back, that she was going to get rid of her.
Did she say why?
Just because she couldn't take care of her.
Did she say why after 3 years she couldn't take care of her?
Mm-mm.
Tell me your version.
My version.
Your version.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Go ahead.
In 2010.
No, I got 2010.
Okay.
I got that the dog has been in your care and custody for 3 years.
So come 2013, I contacted Holly and I said, are you in a spot where you can now take full responsibility, because it's just becoming quite a burden for me. I have another dog, other things going on. Holly said yes, she would take her back.
I don't believe that you ever had an agreement with her to pay all of the dog's expenses for 3 years. Doesn't make sense to me. And you say you actually gave her the dog.
Well, no.
Is that what you're saying?
No, we had...
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying I don't believe either one of you. Is Sugar with you now?
No.
Where's the dog?
With her mom.
With whose mom?
Sarah's mom.
With her mother?
Mm-hmm.
When did that happen? What's the dog doing with your mother?
Holly took her back, and then I'm not exactly sure why Holly ended up not being able to take care of Sugar again. And during all this time, my family had really fallen fond of Sugar.
Yeah, because the dog was yours. And you've got another dog. What kind of a dog did you get, by the way?
Well, I've had the dog the whole time. I have an English Bulldog.
Took custody of Sugar in 2010.
No, I was given the dog as a gift for Christmas. It was never going to be that I was keeping Sugar. It was
Goodbye. I don't believe you. Toodles.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
A distraught father
Your son sadly committed suicide in May of this year.
torments his grieving daughter-in-law.
He was accusing me of my husband's death.
Next Judge Judy.
She was never my dog to keep. She was Holly's dog.
Once I took her back, that's when she wanted to come at me with all the bills.
She would pay for dog food, and then when it was time for Sugar to go to the vet, she would pay me back.
I'm glad it's settled.
Your son sadly committed suicide in May of this year.
A distraught father
He was accusing me of my husband's death.
torments his grieving daughter-in-law.
They asked me if I want to go back and view my husband's body, and I can't mentally bear that. Had I known that the plaintiff was going to go back just to take a picture of my husband to torture me.
That's a sick thing to do.
Judge Judy.
Enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
William Lehman is suing his former daughter-in-law, Ashley Lehman, for destruction of property and a loan for bailing his late son out of jail.
Order. All rise. Giannis, case number 274 on the calendar in the matter of Lehman versus Lehman.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Lehman, this is your former daughter-in-law, and she was married to your son, according to what I read in your complaint, for 5 years. They were together for a lot longer than that, and they have 4 children. Your son sadly committed suicide in May of this year, and it is your claim that the defendant owes you for 2 things. The first thing is for bail for your son, that you claim you loaned to her so that she could get him out of jail. The second is your claim that both of them moved into a home that you own, and that when she vacated the home before your son died, the place was a disaster. Well, let's go back to that first, and we'll get to the bail second then. Who moved into this home of yours?
My son.
When?
Ma'am, I don't know exact dates. I think he was there about 9 months.
And why?
We're having a trial separation. He needed a place to stay.
So he moved in alone?
At the time, yes, ma'am.
When was the place ultimately vacated? In what month?
I want to say the very end of December.
December of last year?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you make an inspection of the home?
Around January 20. It was around Christmas time.
So it was in December?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, your son did not pass away until May of the following year.
Yes, ma'am.
Where was he between December and May?
At her residence in Gurley, Alabama.
So you knew where he was?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you sue him? Now, I'm following the timeline that you just gave me. Your son moved into the house, and he lived there for 9 months. It is your claim that at some point, the two of them reconciled, and she moved into the house with the children, because they have 4 children, with your son. In any event, they all moved out in December and went where?
Gurley, Alabama.
You were in communication with him, I assume?
No, ma'am.
You were not? Not on good terms?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because destruction of my property.
Well, then why didn't you sue him?
I can't answer that.
Well, then I'm going to ask you this question. Why did you wait all this time to sue her? How do you know that it wasn't your son that caused the destruction of the property?
Gathering evidence.
It's what?
Gathering evidence, ma'am.
The one who caused the damage to your property.
I can't do that. I don't.
Well, that's a problem, you see, because if, according to you, you had 2 people living there, one was your son, who was clearly mentally troubled because of the way he died, and you elect not to sue him for the damage that was done that you clearly were aware of for 5 months, I don't understand why you now waited almost a year to sue his wife. Okay, maybe we can come up with a better answer when we finish the bail part. When was your son arrested and for what?
I think it was traffic warrants, ma'am. I'm not sure.
When?
I
Month
think
and
it was
year?
sometime in December, early December, 2nd week in December.
How did you find out about it?
His mother called me.
His mother called you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you live with his mother?
No, ma'am.
What was your son's first name?
Justin.
Justin was arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she tell you where he was?
Madison County. Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
She said that the defendant needed $500 for bail money for my son.
And?
And I said, I'm skeptical about it, but I will loan Ashley $500.
And?
And she came and collected the $500.
Who came and collected it?
The defendant.
She came to your house, the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
And collected the money?
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me about the conversation that you had with her when she came to the house.
She came to the house, and I said, this is a loan. It has to be repaid within 30 days.
And what did she say?
She said she would repay it.
Is that right? I'd like to see it.
You need a promissory note?
Yeah.
I do.
Would you show this to the defendant, please? Do you remember signing that?
He said 500, correct?
Well, he said that originally it was 500. He's only suing for 250.
I signed for 250.
You signed for 250. Okay, so you promised to pay him 250.
Me and his son promised to pay him back.
No.
He was in jail. There was no way he could sign.
You signed.
Okay.
Okay. Now, prior to your son's death, did he ever return any money to you?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever ask him for it?
I asked the defendant.
Why didn't you ask your son?
My son didn't borrow it.
Oh, that's a ridiculous answer. That's a foolish answer from a parent. She's merely the emissary. Did you ever say to your son, you owe me $250?
I may have said that they owe me $250. I may have said that, but Ashley is the one that borrowed the money.
Listen to me. There's what's technical, which you have a promissory note to cover, and then whether I believe anything else that you December, when your son was bailed out of jail and the time he died in May, did you ever say to him, are you going to pay me back my bail money?
I think I did sometime in February.
Not I think I did. I want you to think about it. You don't have to rush right into an answer. Say, I need time to think. Did you ever say that to your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you when you said it?
Most likely by telephone conversation.
Not most likely. I don't want you to tell me most likely. This is so important to you that you traveled all the way from where?
Alabama.
Alabama. To come to take care of this business instead of doing what most people would do, would be grieving over their son who lost his life by his own hand 5 months ago. You're coming here over a $250 bail that was for him, not for her. So I don't want you to tell me maybe it was by phone. This was an important thing for you. You traveled thousands of miles to litigate this issue. When and under what circumstances did you ask your son for the money back?
Sometimes in February, because I said that I have not got it back within 30 days.
And what did he say to you?
You're going to get your money back.
That was in February. When was the next time you spoke to him?
I didn't.
Why?
phone was changed 2, 3, 4 times. I didn't have his phone number, and I didn't know his address in Gurley.
You knew where his mother lived.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you call her?
We don't get along all that well.
She got intermediary for the bail money for your son, and you agreed to her request, so that doesn't sound as if you don't get along all that well. All you were doing would be calling to say, do you know where Justin is? I need to get in touch with him. So, with regard to the house, Ashley, you owe him $250 because you signed a promissory note to pay him, unless you have something.
I do.
What is it?
It's conversations that were screenshotted off of Facebook between the plaintiff and his son.
I'd like to see them. This says, his son says, I do owe you $250. That may be true. What I need from you is something from the plaintiff that says, all right, Ashley doesn't owe me the money anymore. You now owe me the money.
There's a statement that says we tried to pay you the money and refused because you said you were taking us to court.
Okay, fine. Can I see that?
I do.
I'm just curious, when did you try to pay him?
We tried to pay him several times. We drove to his house, and they both have an alcoholic problem. So I got my babies in the car for safety, and we left.
Never happened, Your Honor.
Fine. You owe him $250. That's for the bail, because there's a promissory note that exists for that. Now, let's get back, because you're suing her for $3,000. So most of that is for damage to the house.
Yes, ma'am.
First, I would like to see the damage you're talking about, and then I want to see proof that your son didn't do it. And then I'm going to give you my very fast ruling, because you have plenty of stuff there where you talk about him owing you $250.
Your Honor, I went there prior to December 22nd when I loaned Ashley the money, and they had already moved out, apparently. And there was not a doorknob on the front door. There was a doorknob on the back door. And I went and secured my property and gave Ashley a key with a self-addressed envelope, and she never even returned the key.
Why didn't you sue your son and his wife?
I can sue both, or I can sue...
Well, no, because you can't establish to me that your son, who was the one who initially moved into the house, not with her because they were separated, he didn't cause all this destruction. And you had ample time prior to his death to sue him if you felt that you had a legitimate cause of action. Okay, judge claim is dismissed. You have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim is for harassment.
It's for defamation of character, harassment, mental and emotional distress.
Well, I know. I'm mentally and emotionally distressed today. I have the tail end of a cold, and I'm really not feeling terrific. So I want you to show me or tell me what he did or said that was so outrageous and egregious as to rise to the level of an actionable claim.
Okay, I'll start with my husband passed away, and I went to the funeral home. I'm already distraught, and they asked me if I want to go back and view my husband's body, and I can't mentally bear that. So they said, well, his father's outside. You being the wife, you have to agree to let his father go back. And I'm thinking, okay, that's his father. I would, of course, want him to see his son one last time. Had I known that the plaintiff was going to go back just to take a picture of my husband to torture me, this picture of my husband, to torture me and tell me that I was accused, he was accusing me of my husband's death.
Did you take a photograph of your son?
I did.
Why?
I saw him born. I wanted to see him leave.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You mean she had something to do with it because she actually
took 30 blue pills. 5 miles away is where he was struck by a train. I don't believe he could walk 5 miles.
Closed captioning is provided by...
I found a better deal on prescriptions.
We found lower copays.
And a free wellness visit. New plan, same doctor. I'm happy.
It's Medicare open enrollment. Have you compared plans yet?
It's easy at Medicare.gov.
Or you can call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Medicare open enrollment. You'll never know unless you go.
I did it. You can too.
cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Lehman says former daughter-in-law Ashley Lehman owes for destroying his property and a loan for bail. Ashley is countersuing for defamation of character, harassment, and moving costs.
Now, what did you do with the photograph?
I still have it on my phone.
Did you publish it anywhere?
No, I did not publish it.
I mean, when I say publish it, did you put it on a Facebook page? Did you put it anywhere else? How did you get a copy of it?
He sent it to me and said you have to sleep with what you caused to your husband.
May I see this? Where did you send this, to her phone?
I just sent it to her phone. I didn't post it.
I have the text message in my phone from his number in my phone.
But you sent it to her phone?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know who you are. Well, he's published it, but to you. That's not generally publishing.
He continued to harass me and told me he was going to come to my house and get belongings that belonged to him. I got a police report for harassment.
Just tell me what the harassment was.
He kept calling my phone. My phone is full of threats. I'm your worst nightmare, although I'll let court handle it. You were involved in my son's death, and I'm going to the district attorney. He called DHR on me and told him that I neglected my children, I abused my children. They come to my house, closed the investigation, continued to harass me. That's why I got the police report. I had a temporary restraining order against him for 3 days.
But then you went to court after 3 days, and they had a hearing, and they denied your application for a permanent restraining order, I assume.
It was only for 3 days. He left me alone, and I moved across town.
So you didn't go back to court?
No, did not go back to court.
Okay.
I was in fear of the plaintiff's actions because he's a very scary man, and I had proof of where I had to move and get away from him.
Your Honor.
What?
I only went to her residence one time.
How many times did you call her?
Maybe 2.
So if she showed me her phone log would say that she only received 2. What do you mean, as far as I know? Means somebody else could have used your phone?
That's been several months. I can't.
Well, 2 is 2. Could it have been 20?
No, ma'am.
Could not have been 20?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So the picture that you sent of your son when you identified his body, is the defendant correct that you were asked to identify the body because she couldn't go in? She was the next of kin.
I was not asked. I actually went that day and talked to the detective about the case and asked where my son was.
And?
I went to Berryhill Funeral Home, talked with Mr. Berryhill. Mr. Berryhill did not call Ashley. He actually called and got her sister, Sheena, and Sheena's the one that told Berryhill that I could see the body.
Okay, so you went to see the body, and my question then to you is, you took a photograph for whatever ridiculous reason one would take this kind of a photograph. Why did you send it to her phone?
I was upset because I still believe that she had something to do with my son's demise.
What do you mean she had something to do with it?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's the only reason I can think of why someone would send a grotesque picture of somebody that they at least sometime cared about and was the father of their 4 children. So that's a sick thing to do.
William Lehman says former daughter-in-law Ashley Lehman owes for destruction of property and an unpaid loan to bail his late son out of jail.
Now, what do you mean she had something to do with it? You mean she had something to do with it because she actually committed a crime, or because the 2 of them were fighting and that's why he committed suicide?
Ma'am, she stated to the detective that he took 30 blue pills, which I'm thinking is Xanax 5.
Listen to me.
From where he took
what
those
did he
pills,
die from?
Where he took those pills, 5 miles away is where he was struck by a train. I don't believe he could walk 5 miles.
So he took pills.
Yes, ma'am.
And the cause of death was
blunt force trauma. But
well, that's from the train. He was hit by a train. So I'm going to say this to you, Mr. Lamont. You're leaving court today successfully, recovering your $250 that you actually loaned by virtue of a promissory contract note that you have with her. You're leaving with nothing else. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't know how many other grandchildren you have. I don't know how many other people are in your life. But clearly you did not have a good relationship with your son. That I get from you. Because after December, I asked you how many times you spoke to him. And you said once in February, and then I lost touch. I have children. I've never not known where they were for more than a week. I couldn't sleep. So for you to say I didn't know where he was for 5 months suggests to me, along with some of the other things that I've read, that you did not have a good relationship with your son. And there were things that your son wrote to you that suggested that he didn't feel a fatherly bond that existed between the 2 of you, based upon what he said. And I say this only to you, Mr. Lamont, because it's a very bad time when you lose a child, especially in circumstances like this. What it's always easier to do is to be angry with somebody else. It's always easy to say, I'm going to target somebody else, rather than to look inside of me and saying, what could I have done as a parent when he was 5, 10, 15, 20, when he had alcohol problems? Maybe he got them from me. Maybe it's a family problem. But what you've done is you've turned it and twisted it and said, she's the cause. That's the only reason I can think of why someone would send a text message with a grotesque picture that somebody would have in front of their eyes of somebody that they at least sometime cared about and was the father of their 4 children. So that's a sick thing to do. And that's what happens sometimes when people don't grieve appropriately, but instead turn that grief into anger, which is what you did.
Your Honor, I've been bailing my son out since he was 14 years old. And
well, you raised him. She didn't raise him. She inherited him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, there's an old expression, give me a child until they're 5 and they're mine forever. I don't know what your son saw, heard, or lived with in his house when he was growing up. I don't know. And maybe some of that was visited on his wife, and his children had to be around that. I clearly know one thing. I know, because I've been in the business a long time, that she's not an alcoholic. And according to you, your son was. And did drugs, because that's what you say on Facebook, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So I would grieve appropriately, but stop being angry at her. She didn't create him. You and his mother created him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. And it's unfortunate, but maybe now he'll stop. That's all. Thank you.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
So you hired him to get a liquor license for you.
Did they overestimate his abilities?
We thought he was an attorney and a judge. That looks like a judge.
Judy.
He's so eat up with guilt of how he treated his son.
To me, I love my son.
He threw his son and his daughter across the room when they were kids.
Negative. Never mistreated my children.
He treated him terrible.
Me and my son got along. We did things together. We fished together.
And his last message to his son 2 days before his death.
She didn't bring that up.
Was you'd be better off in a pine box, son.
She lies.
I haven't had time to grieve over my husband's death.
Ashley never grieved.
I feel like he very, very much so caused me so much mental.
Her boyfriend was with her at my son's memorial service.
In emotional distress. He's an ugly, ugly, sick man.
And she's one of the best liars I know.
So you hired him to get a liquor license for you.
Businessmen turn to an expert.
You agreed to pay him $5,500 flat fee, not refundable.
There seemed to be a lack of effort on his part, stall tactics, whatever you want to call it.
But did they overestimate his abilities?
We thought he was an attorney and a judge all along.
I don't care what you thought.
That looks like a judge to me.
I don't care what he wears for Halloween.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the court. This is Judge Judy.
Glenn Mell and Randy French say business consultant Mac Miller II owes for the return of fees. Mac is countersuing for money owed.
Order. All rise. It's case number 219 on the calendar, the matter French Mell versus Miller.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
What's your last name?
Mel. M-E-H-L.
Are you related to Mr. French?
Not by blood, no.
Have you been business partners for long?
5 years, yes, ma'am.
What kind of business?
We have a wholesale distribution business in Las Vegas, distributing ultra-premium spirits, alcohol. We're in the process of obtaining our license.
Well, are you in business or are you in the process of getting a license?
We had to form a corporation and then start with getting a business.
Well, let's go back to my original question. Mm-hmm. This case is a relatively simple one. You claim that you retained the defendant for the purpose of getting you a wholesale liquor license.
Correct.
You paid him money, he didn't deliver, and you want your money back.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the defendant says that you canceled a credit card payment that you made to him. He wants that returned to him along with the fee that was charged him by the credit card company. And he also alleges that because you canceled the credit card, he had to retain the services of an time to figure out that answer, sir.
It's just my focus is on the business at hand.
Well, I don't want you to focus on the business at hand, sir.
I mean, that's my passion.
That's easy, but I have to find out where the two of you were coming from. Now, did Mr. Miller, when you met him at this Cosmopolitan connection...
Correct.
Did he give you a card?
Yes.
I'd like to see the card.
I don't have that.
Do you have cards with you, sir?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at the card.
Yes, okay. For the record, this is the card that they would have received.
It's not the card.
That is not the card. That is the card I have with me today, Your Honor.
Well, what is the difference? Mr. Miller was not able to get you a wholesale liquor license.
That is correct.
And so you want your money back?
Yes.
Well, how much did you pay him?
$5,500.
You got some of that back?
Yes.
How much did you get back?
$1,125.
Show me.
Here's the two credited amounts, 5.6 1/4 and 5.52.
Well, these are two that you got. You say that the credit card company charged back more than that. Is that correct, Mr. Miller?
Yes, Your Honor. I have here from the merchant service. Or the...
I see it.
You may, Your Honor.
Because I only have two pieces of paper from Mr. Mel.
One chargeback.
Could be that there were three.
This is two chargebacks.
One was February 1st. One was
the third
February 24th.
The third chargeback, and then there's one other chargeback, and here it is.
In total, Mr. Miller, what were the chargebacks?
The total amount of the chargebacks, Your Honor, were $1,750, not including the $60 of fees that the merchant services company charges whenever a matter is charged back, and they charge that to me, Your Honor.
Got it. Okay. So, A, you didn't pay $5,500 because you put in a dispute with the credit card company, and the credit card company credited you back with money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, why do you think you're entitled to any money from Mr. Miller?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We thought he was an attorney and a judge all along.
Well, I don't care what you thought. If you had the business card, and in the business card that he gave you, he held himself out to be a lawyer. Lawyer.
That looks like a judge to me.
I don't care what he wears for Halloween.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Glenn Mell and Randy French say business consultant, they paid him to obtain an alcohol license.
Go ahead.
I mean, in the course of two people doing business, and when we were in his office on September 24th and we agreed to move forward, he had said that he had done these in the past and could help us get it done.
Right. That's why you hired him.
Correct. So over the course of time, there seemed to be a lack of effort on his part, stall tactics, whatever you want to call it, but nothing happens until that paperwork is filed. We had received that paperwork in December, and on December 17th, we had emailed him all the documents he asked us to fill out. He had on December 17th to move forward and submit that paperwork. Once that paperwork's submitted, then the process really begins. And that was we never had that chance. He had never submitted that paperwork.
So why didn't you submit it?
It's his job.
Well, I know that.
Yeah, we don't know how to do that. That's why we hired him in good faith, and he said he could get it done.
Well, that's what you call puffing. The contract says that he guarantees no result, and the contract says that the $5,500 is a flat fee. Can you tell me, sir, why you didn't file the paperwork for them?
Yes, Your Honor. I have an actual timeline here that I'd like you to take a look at. The reason I didn't file it is because in order to file this liquor license application, there are certain prerequisites that are required. Example of a prerequisite, the county requires the applicants to have a techniques and alcohol management card. They take a test with the government, and they pass the test, show the government.
A written test.
A written test, and they show the government.
Who took the test?
We both did.
Did you both pass?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they did pass. So that is a prerequisite to file.
I got it. So they passed
I
that.
couldn't file the application prior to that.
Fine. When did they get that?
March 9th of 2015. We initially started the arrangement in October 1st of 2014.
So now they got their card in March of 2015. Was that the only thing that was outstanding?
No, it wasn't, Your Honor. The original agreement that they signed with me, Your Honor.
I got the original agreement. The original agreement is a fail-safe agreement for you.
They breached.
I see. Is that binder, Mr. Miller, just the work that was done on this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Was there anything outstanding, anything outstanding that precluded you from filing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me what it was.
Okay, now what was missing was their applications and their personal financial questionnaires and their police background checks. At this point, myself and my secretary provided them with those application forms and instructed the plaintiffs that they needed to complete them, and they needed to
back to you.
They got them back to me.
When?
I got them back in the end of May, Your Honor.
When did you get those back to him?
December 17th. I have the email that he received it.
Received your background check?
Yes, the application.
No. Received your background check?
No, that's for the police.
Financial history, background check, all that was December 17th.
Background check has not been cleared, Your Honor. There is no background check yet.
It won't be until you file the stuff.
Okay.
Well, show me that the background check was complete.
No background. He received the documents.
No. Listen to me. Background checks. Police background checks.
They cannot do that until the application is submitted. We went down to Metro Police Department. They said until we get
You can't tell me what anyone said to you, sir. That's hearsay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You don't have to be a lawyer in order to be a justice of the Supreme Court. You don't even have to be a lawyer to be a television judge. I am, and I was
You're
a
very
judge.
good one, too.
But you don't have to be.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Glenn Mell and Randy French say business consultant Mac Miller II owes for the return of money they paid him to obtain an alcohol license.
Okay, all I asked you was, when did you stop payment on his money and ask for a refund? In May?
In June.
In June. Mr. Miller did not guarantee you results. You're not entitled to any of your money back because that's your written contract. He doesn't guarantee that he can get you a liquor license. And it looks to me, as if Mr. Miller may or may not be an incompetent, but it looks as if he performed a lot of work for you in that folder. That's what it looks like. May not have been successful. I don't know whether that has to do with the background checks or not, but I know he says that that's missing. It doesn't matter. Your contract with him says that you're going to pay him $5,500. He's going to try to get you a liquor license, and he doesn't guarantee the results. That's what it says. I'm bound by this contract. So are you.
Could I say
even no matter what his word was, the initial one before we signed that agreement?
No.
Doesn't matter?
No, that's called puffing.
Yeah.
I'm the greatest. I've never not gotten a liquor license for somebody. I have a 100% track record. Here's your contract.
What if he lied?
Here's your contract.
And we can prove it.
Here's your contract. He didn't hold himself out to be an attorney, which you suggest here, because he says if you have to hire an attorney, you may, or you may be able to get away with paralegals or some other sort of additional legal assistance.
Attorney and a judge all along.
Well, I don't care what you thought. If you had the business card, and in the business card that he gave you, he held himself out to be a lawyer. Lawyer.
That looks like a judge to me.
I don't care what he wears for Halloween. Do you understand? You have a responsibility.
Can I show you this, Your Honor?
No. Does that say that he is a lawyer?
It says
Mr.
legal
French.
brief with Judge Joseph Miller.
So what? Listen, did you know that you didn't have to be a lawyer to be a Supreme Court justice?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, I'm telling you, you don't have to be a lawyer in order to be a justice of the Supreme Court. You don't even have to be a lawyer to be a television judge. I am. And I was
You're
a
very
judge.
good one, too.
But you don't have to be. If you had the card that he gave you and said, I'm a lawyer, different. But he's not representing himself as a lawyer in this contract. He's not. And if you want to be in business, and if you have investors that have put in $35,000 so you can be in business, it would seem to me that here you might have put in a time frame. You could have said, in the event he doesn't perform and is not able to get a liquor license, he will refund 25% of my money or 50% of my money. I'm explaining to you misrepresentation as to his license as an attorney, because that's what you needed, because that I would buy.
I got it.
Just a second.
Okay.
This forms the basis of your whole agreement with him. This is the four corners of the contract, nothing outside it. So now the only thing that I will look at, Mr. French, is if you say that you have someplace that Mr. Miller held himself out to be a lawyer, because you're not even saying that you thought he was a lawyer. You're saying you thought he was a judge because he was wearing a robe. Well, so what? But you want to show me where he held himself out to be a lawyer? I'd like to see it.
Ma'am. Not only to us, but to other people. There it is.
I don't know what you're showing me, sir.
That's a rip-off report online that people go by when they want to find out stuff.
So what does that have to do with anything, sir?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. Show me where he held him.
Well, when we went in his office and we talked to the gentleman, and he showed us on his computer in his office pictures of him on YouTube as Judge Miller and legal brief and stuff like that.
Your complaint is dismissed. It has no merit. This is your contract. You're bound by the contract. You have to pay Mr. Miller $1,800.
You're gonna let him get away with this?
You have to pay him on his counterclaim $1,810, which is the amount that was credited back to you, plus the $60 credit back fee of the money that you paid him. Now, Mr. Miller, as far as the remainder of your complaint, I would like to see the canceled check to a lawyer for $2,500.
Your Honor, I don't have a canceled check.
Then that's what you need.
I have the fee agreement, the lawyer's agreement, and their receipt from...
I want to see your canceled check to the lawyer.
I do not have a
canceled check. When you get it, you can come back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. In the meantime, you get your $1,810 on the counterclaim. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You had him arrested. He missed your mother's funeral.
He said he was going to get him a shot. I thought he was back on drugs because he'd been on drugs his whole life.
Next Judge Judy.
Here was going on 10 months, and we're destroyed.
It's a liquor license. It's the most coveted license next to strip clubs and gaming in Las Vegas, Nevada.
He's a nice guy and everything, but he just couldn't do the work.
I could fly back home and pick up where I left off if they wanted it done, as long as I was paid.
Your mother wouldn't like you to fight, kids.
Dividing mom's estate divides brothers.
I didn't get anything. That's why I don't know why they're suing me. I didn't get nothing. They got more than me.
Your mother didn't have that much money.
And this son never got to say goodbye.
You had him arrested. He missed your mother's funeral.
He said he was going to get a machete and come looking for us.
What does that have to do with him using drugs?
I thought he was back on drugs because he'd been on drugs his whole life, Your Honor, and that is the truth.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Marvin Green, brother, Eric Green, for misappropriating money from their mother's estate.
Order. All rise. It's case number 198 on the calendar, the matter of Green versus Green.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
You three gentlemen are brothers, and sadly, this case involves money. It involves money that actually didn't belong or wasn't earned by any of you.
Yes, ma'am.
But which you alleged was taken by your brother while he was taking care of your mother, who has since passed away.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And she died without a will, and it is your belief that your brother took unfair advantage of her during her declining days and raided her estate, and you were each entitled to a third as her only surviving siblings. There were only 3 of you?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, your brother says that he only took care of your mother for several months, that the money that he spent of your mother's money was spent for her necessities, and that when she passed away, the only money left was a life insurance policy, which the 3 of you shared equally. And he has a counterclaim. He says that you had him arrested, and as a result of having him falsely arrested, he missed your mother. Did the 3 of you get along before your mother got sick?
Not really, Your Honor. He's confrontational about everything. We can have a normal conversation, and he'll just fly off the deep end. He's confrontational about everything.
Well, your first name is?
Marvin.
Marvin. If he was confrontational, how did it come about that your first name is?
Eric.
That Eric was elected to help take care of your mother?
It was a bad decision, Your Honor.
No. I didn't ask you if it was a bad decision.
Okay,
I said, how come, if he was a confrontational person, why would you all agree to allow him to take care of your mother during her last months?
Let me take this. I'm Anthony, Judge.
Okay.
The reason I live in Virginia Beach, they all live in Florida. And the reason we had Eric do it, because Eric's unemployed. At the time my mother was going in, he was the closest one to her, so if anything happened...
You mean closest physically?
Physically, if anything happened, he could go there. Other than that, me and my brother discussed that Eric had been having problems throughout his life, so finally we thought that he was actually getting himself together. We said, we're going to give him a chance to kind of fix this relationship with my mother. So if he has to go out there to visit her, maybe, you know, they can fix that relationship. However, that didn't happen.
Just a second. That all sounds interesting, that you wanted him to mom, but you were both working, you lived farther away,
right,
and it was more convenient to have him do it for all of you.
Right. More convenient.
Put your hand down. It was more convenient for you.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I mean, bottom line, that's what it was about,
right,
that it was more convenient. Now, did you live with your mother, Eric?
No, ma'am.
How far away did you live from her?
7, 8 miles, a few miles.
So, close by.
But both of us live in the same city, me and Marvin.
It's okay. You were elected or volunteered, or it was a community...
No, they actually said that they liked the way that I handled my finances. They said I budgeted my money well, and they didn't. And they asked me to be the guardian. That's how it came about.
Whatever. You...
They both came to me.
What did your mother pass away from?
She had Alzheimer's.
Was she living independently in her own home, or was she in it for the funeral expenses that you paid for?
85. I had a receipt to that, too.
I'd like to see it. This is going to be much easier than I thought. How much did you pay, Marvin, towards your mother's funeral?
It was from her insurance.
Shut up!
Nothing.
How much did you pay, Anthony, towards your mother's funeral?
We didn't have to pay anything. She had
Don't tell me she didn't have to pay anything. How much did you pay?
Nothing.
So that the person paid receipt from the funeral director that the funeral was $8,500. Where did you expect the money to come from?
That's where we were expecting it to come from.
Well, that's where it came from.
100.
Just a second. I see the one here for $7,600. Now, how much was the personal service contract? How much did you collect over the few months that you took care of your mother?
Really, nothing. It's $33,000. I had it.
How much?
It was $33,000.
Where did the $33,000 come from? I don't see $33,000 here.
It's $11,000, those 2 accounts, 6 and the 4, and it's 76 and 14. That's 33. It's the inventory that I gave you. It's those 4 things.
Well, that's your mother's assets. That's not what you got.
Yeah, right. I didn't get it. That's what.
Not if you paid the funeral bills.
Right. I didn't get anything. That's why I don't know why they're suing me. I didn't get nothing. They got more than me. I went to see my mother 300 times over 7 months.
That's okay. That's all right. That's what you're supposed to do. You know how many times she came to see you
want it for
when
money.
you
That's
were
what I
born
don't understand.
in 7
What
months?
are they suing me for?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What caused you to file this petition?
He said he was going to get a machete and kill us. We had to view my mother's body in a closet. But he said he was going to get a machete and come looking for us. So
just a minute. What does that have to do with him using drugs?
Real cases, real
His brother Anthony claim younger brother Eric Green misappropriated money from their mother's estate. Eric is countersuing for false charges and defamation.
I'm telling them that I don't see where they're each owed $5,000. I don't see it. Your mother didn't have that much money.
We knew that, and this wasn't really about the money. It was about the principle that if he would have just shared this information with us.
We just wanted to see. We got text. We just asked to see the policies, and he wouldn't let us see. He cursed us about it. We just asked to bring the stuff so we could see it.
Your Honor, my mother had dementia, so her house was shambles. Me and my wife found...
But they paid out on the policy.
Yeah, I paid them. Once I became guardian, I had the bills come to me, and and I said,
But you had to have found some policy because
it wasn't an actual policy. It just was like a paper that tells you, like I got it here. It just tells you what it is. It wasn't the actual policy.
I mean, it told you who the insurer was.
And then I also have the other policy that there is there.
Did you see any of the paperwork, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay, here you go. Maybe this will help you.
And
this will help you.
Can you look at this text message when we just asked about the policy. That's it. We told him it wasn't about money.
Okay.
And this is...
Look at what I just showed you.
Yeah, we know about this, Your Honor.
Good. Very good. Said, your mother wouldn't like you to fight, kids.
Definitely.
You know, she wouldn't like you to fight. And it's too bad that after somebody's death, over what amounts to a very small amount of money, there's hard feeling that exists between siblings. See if you can make it better. He doesn't owe you any money. Probate said he didn't owe you any money. Is that right? Okay. Your counterclaim is that they had you falsely arrested. What were you arrested for?
They filed a Baker Act ex parte on me and accused me of drug abuse, spouse abuse. This is my wife here.
Just a minute. Show me.
I have it. I have it here.
Show me.
And the police took me away from my mother's wake.
Show me.
And I missed the funeral. And I have the drug screen.
I want you to not speak. What caused you to file this petition?
Eric threatened us. The fight I have it on tape. And he also, what happened, we went to the same church since 1971.
No, I want you to tell me what happened.
Oh, he said he was going to get a machete and kill us. We had to beg the funeral home to view the body at a different time. We had to view my mother's body in a closet.
Would you just listen to me? I want you to tell me exactly when and where.
I have it right here. I have the recording.
Well, what precipitated the argument?
He had threatened us the whole time, even when my mother was sick. Every day. We had problems with him. My mother was moved to another hospital. He wouldn't even tell us the room, and I was texting him. My wife was calling his wife. They wouldn't even answer the phone. We walk in the room. They were sitting up in the room. Then he would have procedures done. We had to go to the nurse. It's like it wasn't our mother anymore, so he pushed us to the limit. Then he threatened that when Tony got here, he was going to fight both. I have it on the recording of it. And when we had to plead with the funeral home to do the viewing at a different time, because he said he was going to get a machete and come looking for us.
So just a minute. What does that have to do with him using drugs?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I said, you a pothead. You get out at the nursing home in the conference room. I told him he needed help.
What month?
January or February.
And in March, you consented to him being her guardian?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Marvin Green and his brother Anthony are accusing their younger brother, Eric Green, of misappropriating money from their mother's estate.
What does that have to do with him using drugs?
I thought he was back on drugs because he's been on drugs his whole life, Your Honor, and that is the truth. On the guardianship case, Eric...
Listen to me.
And I wrote to the judge.
Listen to me. Then you should not have let him be your mother's guardian. That was a mistake. However, now you're going to show me what happened for you to file this, which is asking them to take him into custody because he needs substance abuse treatment. Listen to me carefully.
I'm listening.
Had there been any discussion of money between the time your mother died and June 25th?
No, not with me.
With you?
No.
Did you ask about your mother's life insurance policies?
I asked him about the policies. The only thing I said, bring the policies to the funeral home.
You just wanted to see him.
And those are the text messages that I sent him, and he sent back all his file information, cursing us out.
Just a second. He responded to you.
Right.
Now, how did you find out, Marvin, that there was a procedure whereby you could have your brother committed to a substance abuse program?
I always do research on it. I did research it.
You researched it?
I went to probate mental health because he had prior drug problems.
No, that's not my question. You researched it?
Yes.
When did you start to research
Way before I even knew my mother was going to pass, because he was getting outrageous while she was sick.
Well, interesting. Did you go to court and try to have his guardianship over her revoked?
We was working, Your Honor.
And tried to have...
No, we didn't.
So while he was taking care of your mother, you didn't seek to have him removed from being her guardian and custodian, but after she died and there was some issues raised with regard to money, then you saw fit to file this, and you say, Marvin Green, being duly sworn, poses and says, respondent has refused a voluntary assessment because he does not think he has an addiction problem, and you have attempted to get the respondent to seek assistance for his or her substance abuse problem. Now, I want you to tell me, Marvin, when you sought to have a discussion with him, show me in writing, like you're going to show me the threats. Show me where you said to him, I think that you have a substance abuse problem. We'd like you to try to get some help.
I can't.
Because you didn't.
Yeah, I have over several years.
Not several years. I don't care about just several years. I'm talking about after you let him be your mother's guardian.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, after you let him be your mother's guardian, you swore I have attempted to get him to agree to seek assistance for his problem.
I had you get out at the nursing home in the conference room. I told him he needed help. At the nursing home in the conference room, and he asked me, you realize you called me a pothead? And I said, yes, because you are. At the nursing home.
You, at what month?
That was like January or February.
In January or February, and in March you consented to him being her guardian?
Yes. but listen, Your Honor, we've consented together as brothers.
Just a second.
I understand what you're saying.
You understand where I'm going?
Yeah, I totally understand.
I'm glad you understand where I'm going.
It was a mistake we both ever made in our lives. Yeah, we understand that.
Your case is dismissed. Judgment on the counterclaim in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
This landlord's not getting the picture.
Over 2 tons of garbage they had in the front yard.
Show me a picture.
I have a witness that saw it. Try to picture that.
I can picture it if I had a picture. Picture!
Judge Judy.
We knew we made a mistake making him the guardian with his prior drug usage, and we got to live with it.
Just greed. I mean, I did everything. There wasn't a lot of money.
He just started flipping out on us as soon as we did the day that he got the guardianship.
I did everything to the letter of the law. We hired attorneys.
He tried to